Well, welcome to the Empire State of Mind podcast. And on today's episode, we've got bodybuilder to poet, David Slack. So, David, how are you doing today?
Awesome, mate. How are you? Nice to see you.
I'm good, mate. I had my jab yesterday, actually, and I was feeling a bit flat yesterday, but I had a decent sleep, woke up this morning, I was all right. So I was prepared to be feeling really ill this morning, but to be honest, bouncing. Absolutely. Cheers, man. So just going to tell you a little bit about the reason behind this podcast. So Slacky, David, Slack, what do you want to be called? What do you want?
Fucking out, mate. Slacky, Dave, whatever.
Slacky. So Slacky is a proper mental health advocate. He's going to share his story with you. Is a poet as well, self-taught poet. Yeah, is that right?
I suppose I.
And an absolute growth mindsetter, and I can't wait to get into this podcast. So just first of all, how did we meet, Slacky? I'm going to tell you how I think we met. And if I remember rightly, I started working in Yankees when I first left school. And I'm sure I just got introduced to you through my brother, Gaz Palla. And that's where I got to know your face, maybe spoke to each other. And then, not that I've trained in interim a lot, but I went there a bit, and I'm sure you were training out of there. Got other similar mates like Tom and Moody. And yeah, I'm pretty sure from there. And then we've kept in touch on social media, like followed each through this journey, as people like to say. That's what we've done, haven't we?
Is that through likes? That's what we've done, haven't we?
That's it. Like that. But yeah. So then, mate, would you agree that's how we met?
Exactly, mate. I couldn't have nailed it better. Like, obviously, Yankees sort of got to know each other, and then, you know, when you started opening the gym and that and getting in among the mindset stuff, like, I thought, fucking hell, you know, this guy switched on and started following your journey and that, you know, and just fucking, we started doing our cold water dips, which I'm sure we'll get on to, and,
yeah,
you know.
Awesome. So then, Slacky, I want you to tell us all how you've become the mental health advocate, the poet, and the growth mindsetter you are today. So over to you.
I suppose, going back to when I was growing up, I was always one of them kind of lads where, you know, I always wanted to be a typical laddie lad. Do you know what I mean? Like playing rugby, doing a bit of bodybuilding, sort of, you know, like looking back now, like I can see that I was trying to fit a mold that I didn't really feel truly I belonged in.
Yeah.
So, you know, growing up, I went to the gyms all the time. I played rugby, went out around town with the lads. And I suppose to a certain extent, you could say I was just coasting through life. You know, I was just doing what I thought any other typical lad would do. You know, you get to the age where you're going through, you know, your early 20s and that, and you're trying to attract a woman, and you feel as though, you know, what do you do to attract a woman? You get big muscles, and, you know, you go down town wearing a scoop neck All Saints t-shirt, and, you know, like, you know, that's what you just kind of thought. And I guess when you're knocking around with like other laddie lads, you kind of like get in that echo chamber of, you know, this is just the culture. You know, and I would never slag off where I live because I love, you know, Workington, the Lake District. But I guess like it is to a certain extent quite a narrow-minded sort of town, really.
Yeah, totally agree with you on that, man.
I guess like within my friendship circle, we were all playing rugby, we were all going to the gym. And to a certain extent, you just kind of fit that path. But, you know, I'm not slagging that off for anything at all, because I loved my life growing up. I loved it. But where I started to get into problems was when I got a little bit older and I had my son. My son had a lot of issues when he was born. He had an operation and stuff. And his mum, like, really just fell to pieces. She was like, you know, she took it really badly. So what I done at the time is I fell into that kind of like alpha male, manly man sort of approach. And I went like very robotic. And I just went like, come on, I need to be a manly man, hold on to the family and kind of deal with it. Do you know what I mean? So it was a very traumatic stage in our lives, but I was just like shutting my emotions off. I was just becoming what I thought a man needed to do, which was
manning up.
Manning up, you know, the phrase gets used a lot now. So, you know, everything was fine. Touch wood, my son had his operation and it was great, you know. And I thought at the time, I've dealt with that well. I manned up, I got on with the situation. My son's better now. And I thought, great. Now then, it wasn't until months after that, I started, it was a random sort of occurrence, nothing linked to it at all. I was just at work one day and I started having these, what I know now was like a panic attack. Describe it as palpitations, clammy hands, feeling of disconnectedness. And I thought, fucking hell, what's all that about? I didn't associate it as being anything to do with the past. Do you know what I mean? At the time, I'd done what anyone would do. I went to the doctors. At the time, I felt like I was going around in circles. They were giving us medication and, trying to give us on this and whatnot. And I never really felt like I got the answers that I needed through, going through the system, if you like. And I always kind of looked for reasons. I was always if I've got a broken arm or a broken leg, I can see what's happening here. But because I was just getting these random panic attacks every few days and just feeling that disconnectedness, I thought, what's going on here? There's something amiss here, and I got into a really, really low patch in my life where I was something's not right. I just know that, I just don't feel good in myself. Do you know what I mean? I just felt I want to know why these are happening. So cut a long story short, sort of trying to get into the point here, I started doing self-research and started reading books and started sort of educating myself on mental health. And I come across a guy on a podcast called Wim Hof. And Wim Hof, honestly, fucking hell, he changed my life, mate. He changed my life. For those who don't know who Wim Hof is, when you see him on telly and that, you think, oh, he's just an absolute loony. He's an absolute loony and he's a one-off and he's he's an absolute rarity. But when you drill down into it and you research about what he does, he believes in the power of the breath and the power of belief and how you can essentially control your immune system, control your state of mind through breath work, through cold water exposure. And when I was watching him on the podcast at the time, I was like, fucking hell, a lot of this is starting to make sense here. A lot of this is starting to really hit home. And, I'll briefly explain sort of a couple of the concepts around the Wim Hof method. But essentially what you're doing is when you get stressed, when your body gets stress or anxiety or any form of trauma, really, it can be in the moment or it can be relating to the past, your blood sets to what they call an acidic state, right? Because the way you're breathing, you don't know it at the time because your breathing is very autonomic. It's an autonomic nervous system. So little do you know, you're taking these short, shallow breaths without knowing because you're just living your life. But essentially, you're living your life in a state of fear. You're living your life in a state of fight or flight. So anyway, what the Wim Hof method does is it gets you into this deep breathing technique so that you're oxygenating your breath, you're oxygenating your brain, and you're getting rid of all the carbon dioxide in these cyclical breaths. And carbon dioxide is acidic, right? So when you go through the process of a Wim Hof method, you go you maybe do 3 rounds of it or whatever. You're essentially resetting your body to an alkaline state, right? And what the reason that's so important is because when your body's in an alkaline state, you're primed for fighting off illnesses. You're primed for being in that relaxed, calm, I'm ready to face the world here. So, when I started doing that, fucking hell, my illnesses stopped. I stopped getting ill. I stopped getting anxious. I stopped feeling low. I was feeling on top of the fucking world. Just because I was controlling my breath. And your breath is what translates your message to your brain as to what state you're in. So if you think of it this way, right, this is the way I understood it at first. If you're walking down the street and a car comes out in front of you, what do? You inhale, you go like that. That's your immediate. So when you're inhaling, you're getting into a state of fear, right? Now, a lot of people live in a mild state of fear, and they don't realize it. So when you're sat at home at night and you sit on the sofa, what's the first thing you do? You go, you exhale. So
what a day.
what a day, mate. The exhale is what's giving you that message to be calm, to be relaxed. So you're doing these things throughout the day at various points in time without realizing it. But the one thing about breathing is, although it's automatic, you can control it yourself. So you can control your breath at any time. So, I always try and take things back to when we were fucking cavemen and stuff, right? Because when we were cavemen, or fucking, Neanderthal men, whatever you want to call it, like, we needed that kind of fight or flight because, you needed to be vigilant. Is there a fucking, woolly mammoth trying to chase us or whatever? But nowadays, you get into that state when you get a fucking email you don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get into that state when it's like fucking just normal things. So that's why you need, like, personally, I think integrating breath work into your life, integrating that control of your emotions when you need them is absolutely life-changing, mate. It could be, obviously, we'll get into this in great detail, I'm sure, but I'll give you an example, right? Anxiety and stress are primarily caused by something pulling you in an opposite direction to what you want to go in, right? So think of it this way. I'm sat at work in an office or at home now, for example, and I'm typing an email, right? So I'm doing my job, I'm on an email, I'm typing an email, right? Then the phone call comes in, right? That phone call is, it's nothing really in the grand scheme of things, but I'm going to feel a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of stress in my chest because it's something pulling me in a different direction to what I'm doing, right? Yeah. So if I just go with that and answer the phone while I'm in the middle of something, I'm going to subconsciously spill some frustration, some subliminal anxiety onto that phone call, right? So by having that ability to pause in between each sort of thing, it's having that awareness. So, it's a very simple thing that I've integrated into my life at work. So if I'm doing a job, a phone call comes in, what I do is I'll go, and then I'll answer the call, and then I'm resetting things. I'm resetting that emotion so that I'm going to be able to fucking deal with something without getting anxious.
Yeah, just taking that second, isn't it? Like, to be honest, I couldn't multitask. I'd felt a bit. I'd be like, whoa, what do I do here? So I'd have a second pause, put the email to one side, and then I'd just give my full attention to the phone call.
Yeah. But I think, it's a very sort of common occurrence that we see you see in the office environment, we see in the working environment, where people are bouncing from one emotion to another, almost in that constant state of fight or flight. And, that ability to pause and breathe, get yourself into a calm and relax, the parasympathetic nervous system, you can take fucking control of your life, mate. Like, it's fucking nuts. It is nuts, and I'm so passionate about it.
Good, mate. It's good. I genuinely love it. I've done the Wim Hof myself. Like, I don't do it as much as I would like to do it. I just don't make time to do it. But I know when I do it, I get massive benefits. And then I ended up holding my breath up to, I think, 5 minutes in between the rounds. And honestly, anyone looking to do it, there's not just Wim Hof, there's other things out there, guided meditation you can follow. They'll tell you when to breathe in and out, when to hold your breath and relax. And honestly, just give it a go. When people think about it, they think that all woo-ha, legs folded, like meditation type thing. But honestly, well worth a go. It could literally change your life. As Slacky said, it has changed his.
Well, it's like you say, mate, it's like, a lot of people dismiss these things because they think, it's woo-woo, it's all woo-ha, but it isn't, mate. It's, we live in a day and age now where people almost need facts, they need science, they need the evidence, do you know what I mean? Because they're not trying to believe. So, but it is backed up by science, it really is. And, they've done the studies, they've shown that people can kind of fight off illnesses through the power of the breath and the power of belief. And all I would say is, don't take my word for it, just fucking try it and get among it and watch the podcasts, and because it fucking is life-changing. And from what I know now, what I realise is obviously bridging the gap between the past to the present. What I'd done is, in the past, because when my son was ill and I'd went into that automatic, like, fucking robotic mode of man up, I wasn't allowing my emotions to fucking be felt. So what emotion is, if you look at it like this, emotion is energy in motion, right? It needs to be felt. It needs to be released. So if I hold on to that emotion, it'll fucking come back to bite us later on. And you need to feel it.
Definitely. And I think there's a scientific term for about energy can't be created or formed. It can only be transferred. I can't remember that. So it's literally transferring that energy somewhere else, getting it out there as whatever that is to you.
There's a book actually at the moment, and it's just it's not a newish book, but it's something that's in the media a lot at the moment, on the podcast, I should say. And it's called The Body Keeps the Score. And what it's basically saying is that any trauma that you've had in the past that you haven't dealt with, it'll show through your body. Yeah. So whether that's a bad back, whether that's like eczema, whether it's like body problems with your IBS or something, it could be anything. And the chances are, if you've got something that's wrong with your body and it's manifesting through your skin, your body, your aches, your pains, your migraines, the chances are you need to release something from the past. And it doesn't have to be fucking something big and massive traumatic. You know, it can be something that you haven't dealt with.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, mate, that's where getting across that, mate, that's where I realised the fucking taking control of your life and fucking building habits in and stuff, you know, which is what you're very much about.
That's it. It's all about taking action, do it, just making stuff happen, showing up every day. That's what it's about. And like creating that meaning and purpose. Like obviously the guys who follow the state of mind, our mission statement is, our mission is to empower others to create a meaningful, purposeful life full of intention with relentless energy. And that, honestly, that is just my motto now for life. Is I just want to help as many people as I can, you know, help them set new goals, help them feel empowered, having that meaning and purpose, setting new intentions. Because you know what it's like when you set new goals or when you're going after something, you feel that energy, you feel like 10 foot tall, your chest comes out.
Exactly.
I genuinely think, you know, anyone who's that just kind of like you said about coursing through life, floating, don't know really where they're going, you know, just waiting for the weekend, is to have other stuff going on. I mean, you can still, even if you have a shit job, you know, I'm not saying, go and pack your job, follow your passion, your inspiration. I mean, you've just got to do what's right for you at the end of the day. But when you're doing other stuff that, you know, that does inspire you, that shit job might not seem as shit.
That's what it is, mate. I think, as you say, you rightly allude to that. Like, a lot of people live for the weekend, or if they're not living for the weekend, they're living for the next holiday. They're living for, wait till I've got the bikini body, or wait till I've got this. But as you say, it's the fucking process. You need to fall in love with the process. And that's why, you know, that's why it's so important to me in my life that when you have these habits, like, you're almost milking as much fucking wins as you can out of each day. So it's like you're not just like waiting for the end of the fucking 6-week course to feel happy. You're getting that little, as you say, the dopamine hit every single day. And it's, you know, I always, you know, I say again, I always bring things back to like how we were fucking cavemen and stuff and how we've evolved. Like, we are all primed and fucking wired to have some kind of uneasiness, have some kind of like anxious kind of like vigilance, because that's how we wired. So it's almost like if you don't, right, one of my best mates told me this quote when I first met him, and it's something that's stuck with us for life. And it's this, right? It's, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your systems. So so if you're left to your own devices, you'll overthink things, you'll fucking binge on your food, you'll procrastinate, you'll fucking, you know, flick through Instagram looking at fucking pictures of whatever. Like, that's just your own devices. So if you've got a set of systems in place, you've almost got a fucking safety net for your own mind. And, you know, most of man's problems, man or women's problems arise from their inabilities to fucking sit with themselves for 10 minutes. Yeah. Because before you know it, we fucking procrastinate and we're doing this. Whereas if you've got a fucking structure in place, you're like, fucking, yes, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's like,
I mean, so some people can just wing it, but I think when you're doing that, it's all hustle and bustle, you know, it'll either catch up to you eventually, come and bite you on the ass, or you'll just be forever just hustling and, you know, just that ducking and diving, you know.
Yeah.
The guys will be putting the work in, no doubt about it. But I think it's better to have a bit of a structure, bit of a plan. Like you say, setting your intentions, know what you're doing. It's 100%. Like you say, you're ticking them boxes on the way, enjoying the journey. Right? Oh, this is what I need to do now. Get excited about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
like, it's as simple as fucking making your bed in the morning, mate. Like, if you make your bed in the morning and you leave that room, I know it's a fucking, you know, it's a thing that gets mentioned a lot, but when you make your bed in the morning, you look back at your bed and you've got fucking pride there of a well-made bed. Like, you could have the shittest day in the world, but you're going to come back to a well-made fucking bed. There's a lot to be said about that, a fucking lot. And it sounds like, oh, you know, it's just a fucking cliche thing to say, but it isn't. Like, how you make your bed is how you live your life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is like, I've stumbled across that myself, and it really does matter, eh?
Yeah. On that, like, for me, I get up before my lass, so I can't really make it while she's in bed. But my first tick of the day is getting a cold shower, and like I say, we will be getting on to about doing the cold water exposure. But just to jump in on the habits part of it. So my first thing is I get out of bed, go in the bathroom, get the shower on. I normally have a lukewarm shower while I wash myself, and then the last 2 minutes I'll brush my teeth while it's on cold, and just and so some days it's easy where it's like, yep, let's get it done, turn it on the cold, and then there's other days I do have that little mental battle with myself. It's like just that split second, it's like, right, let's get it done, turn it to cold. I'm like brushing my teeth, like, Jesus, come on. But I know, like, when I'm out that shower, I'm like, oh, that's done. That's my first tick. And it's literally like I track my habits. Like, you know, like people track the calories because they want to manage and get on top. The following a plan. Well, that's exactly why I track my habits. So any little habits I've got, from drinking water, exercising, walking, where's my state of mind? Reading. What else have I got on there? I write down my balance every day, because I used to be terrible with money. And it's only been this last 6 months where I've really got a handle on it. And do you know what that's down to? Writing my balance every day. Not just writing down my balance every day, obviously taking control and making sure I'm putting money away, making sure I'm not overspending. And it is literally that's why I believe you should, like, if you want to create new habits, a good way is to track them and make sure you're sticking with them.
Exactly, mate. You know, you mentioned about the money situation there. You look after the pennies, the pound look after themselves. But that is actually a lesson for life. Like, you look after the small things, the big things look after themselves, because you know, it is a slippery slope. It only takes a couple of, it only takes a couple of wobbly days before you're feeling like low. Do you know what I mean? I noticed that during lockdown. Like, it only took me to lose like a social sort of environment, or me to be placed working from home, to suddenly, like, you're feeling low. And then before you know it, it's a slippery slope. So if you've got systems in place, or as you say, you look after the small things, the big things kind of look after it. And it literally is all about having that purpose and having that meaning. You know, you can create your own meaning in life, can't you?
Definitely. And I'm just going to blow me on trumpet here. Like, I even write down now days with no alcohol. So in my planner, I've already numbered it all the way to 100 and, let's have a look. Should know this. 182, right? And I'm on 139 today.
Wow, well done, mate.
Of no alcohol, not a drop. Last day
how are you feeling? How are you feeling in terms of your clarity and that? Like,
honestly, this is the most clear and focused I've ever been. You know, I know exactly what I want, where I'm heading. Like, people maybe think, like, well, you're not bad on drink. Yeah, like, you know, it wasn't just drink that I was bad on. That's the problem. You know, maybe just drink's a gateway. You know, it's for me, it's a slippery slope, and the best way to eliminate that end result is to take out the middleman, which is the drink. And that is literally that simple. So, but yeah, health-wise, you know, I'm not bloated. And not that I was like massively bloated. You know, I'm not a big lad, but I'm not bloated. I don't feel lethargic. I love going to the gym in the mornings. You know, well, I loved it anyway if I'd ever had a drink. But do you know what I mean? I'm just that clear and focused. You know, I feel sharp. And the stuff I've got done in it, like again, I don't want to sound like blow my own trumpet. It's just stating fact. But the stuff I've got done in these last 6 months,
Yeah,
I don't think I would ever have dreamed of getting done.
It does make sense. Like I know there's a couple of people who been like sober and stuff and done like sort of trials and stuff, and they've always said they've never fancied going back. And the analogy that they used is with drink. When you're having drink and you're on night out, or whatever, you're borrowing joy from the next day.
Yeah,
you're
I love that one, yeah.
You're having joy in that moment, but you're gonna have to pay it back tomorrow. So you're kind of just juggling with your joy. But I remember you growing, when we were growing up together and that, and you didn't need drink. You were always like buzzing around, happy, positive, confident. Like, whereas
I know it's weird, eh? It's weird. It's just a weird thing that's just happened. Like, well, through my own choices, it's not weird. It's just my choices and my decisions that I've made, and I accept that now. On the focus that I've done, and obviously without that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well done, mate. I'm, proud of you. Like, but at the end of the day, I think as well to try that as well, to try to do a period without drink. How do you know your true potential if you sort of haven't really tried to do it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, totally. And like, I'm not saying I'll never drink again, because so I know we'll have a drink, but I'm gonna make sure I've got like systems in place where if I do have a drink, that I can't go overboard. Like, even though I'm 30 this year and I'm planning on not drinking. I want to do 12 months. I want to do 12 months no alcohol. And like I say, maybe on after that, maybe occasions. But I would love it. And I kind of want it to go like months. Every time I have a drink, it's going to be months in between. And like I say, it's not going to be a skinful. It's a couple of bottles of beer.
Yeah.
The thing is, I do like a whiskey, so I'd have to maybe get my dad a bottle of whiskey, get it poured as like a shot out, and then he can take the bottle, and then I can have that little drum, like.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's your morning routine and nighttime routines look like?
So first thing in the morning, this is one of the changes I've done massively recently, and it's made a big difference, right? I used to be a snoozer, right? So I used to like snooze all the fucking time, like, set my alarm for like 7, but I'll end up getting up at 7:45. And I used to think that snoozing is like getting that extra bit of sleep, but it isn't. Like, I've noticed if you get up on the first alarm, you feel 10 times better. If you snooze, you fucking wake up groggier. Like, so yeah, that's a big thing.
If you're snoozing, you're losing.
Yeah, fucking right, mate. Somebody said that, didn't they? But so get up on the first alarm. What I'll tend to do is now I'll get a cold shower, and see, I'm different from you. I actually like the cold. Like, I'm fucking weird. Like, I love the cold. So I like fucking just surrender to it. Fucking love it. Put it on the What I'll do is I'll put it on all the fucking lymph nodes and that. So I'll put it on under the armpits, under the forehead, and I'll just drain my lymphatic system, because that's what essentially it's doing. So I'll embrace the cold, get out feeling really invigorated. What I'll try and do is now I'll try and tag habits onto something that I'm already doing to make it like seamless in my life.
Yeah.
So whereas during lockdown, when everyone was like, "Oh, let's fucking try and have habits," I would try and like get up and do meditation for fucking 20 minutes. Whereas now, what I'll do is I know that I'm not going to stick to that. So I get up, fucking in the shower, cold shower, do maybe 5 conscious deep breaths in the shower. So I fucking get myself into like really focused breathwork state. And then I'll take my loud dog on a walk. And then for fucking 20 minutes, what I'm doing is I'm meditating while I'm walking. So
sorry to jump in there, but I really just want to say, for my style of meditation, like I know I don't do the breath work. I said I've done it a bit, but I find exactly the same as you do. When I take Flower Bentley up the slag banks, that is my meditation. That is literally, I love that. Rain or shine, it is just getting up on the slag banks, looking out over the sea, looking out over working, and like you say, we might come from a shitty little town, but I was doing marks there for if you're listening and not watching. But it's ours there. It's ours. You just got to make the best of it. If you hate that much, move away.
Well, exactly. That's what it is. You've got that choice. You've got, it's responsibility. Whatever happens in life, whatever hand that fucking God, whoever fucking serves you, you've got that responsibility to sort it out.
Yeah.
Like it might not be your fault that something's happened in your life, but it's certainly your responsibility to sort it out.
Yeah.
That's we've touched on in the past that responsibility is a fucking massive thing. It liberates you, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Like responsibility fucking frees you from the chains of being a victim in life. As cruel as it sounds, it's fucking true, isn't it?
That's it. And when you can hold your hands up and like I say, I can now hold my hands up now and know that I fucked up. It's like nobody can take anything from me now. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if I'd got on to doing all this and I never opened up about my past, about taking drugs and gambling, then I'd be like, somebody could say something about me. Yeah. I'm not leading by example. He probably still does it. But now I'm like, nah, I used to do it. Time.
Exactly, mate. No, there's something very, very vulnerable and honest about that, and it's good. Yeah. It's nice because it almost like fucking. If you're saying it on your terms, then it makes people just not even fucking think about it because, as you say. Yeah. But no, as I say, I get up, have my cold shower. What I'll do is, because once you understand meditation, essentially it's just practicing attention, it's practicing presence, it's practicing being unattached to your thoughts. So we all have thoughts in. And a lot of people, I think, they think meditation's like sitting on a fucking rock like a Buddhist.
Yeah.
And, but it's literally just being aware of your thoughts. Like I'll be going on my walk and I'll be aware of thoughts coming in my head. Like, oh, I need to do this later, or, oh, what happened there, or analysing conversations I've had or whatever. But that's fine. It's okay. Just let them go. It's like your thoughts are like traffic. They're like fucking cars passing. Yeah. You just let them pass, right? And then what you're doing is because you're practicing unattachment to your thoughts, eventually they become less. So they just, one car passes now and again, and it's like they come slower, and then it's just that practicing that unattachment. So I'll be on my walk, just observing my thoughts, fucking practicing presence, try and be like really present. So if like I'm walking by a river, really pay attention to the river or the fucking colour of the trees. And then it is honestly, it's good. It's just tagging that meditation into your walk. And I try and do that throughout the day. So for example, it might be, if I'm at work, integrate breath work into my work. You know what I mean? So if I feel something like a little pinch of anxiety come up because I've had a fucking, I don't know, a stroppy email or something, just breathe through it, and you can get on that fucking happy vibe again. You really can. And, I've made a couple of notes, I think, because there's a couple of other things that are going on. Just give us a sec.
Yeah, no worries, yeah.
So that was
Oh, you just broke up a little bit there, Dave. We have lost Slacky. Are you back?
All right?
We're back. We're back in the room.
I dropped my phone. Right, so yeah, I was on about like into your life. So another one I'll do is like I hate reading it. Like I don't like it. I've never been a book person. I've never been somebody who sits and reads books, right? But I do know that by reading, you broaden your fucking perspective, you broaden your knowledge, your fucking conversation skills are gonna get better. So I know that I'm not gonna sit there and read a fucking book. I know that. So what I'll do is I'll leave my book right next to my remote on my sofa, and I'll read one chapter a day, right? Because I can read one chapter a day. That's fucking out. But when you equate it, that's 10 books a year. 10 books a year can change your fucking life. Like,
fucking can.
There's one book that I read when I was going through the fucking anxiety and all that called The Chimp Paradox.
Class.
That book, I still talk about that today. It fucking changed my life, mate. Like, and if you can read one chapter a day, like you can easily do that, and it makes a massive difference. So, fucking.
What's your? Give us a couple of your top recommendations on books.
What books? So The Chimp Paradox.
Yeah.
The Chimp Paradox is by a guy called Dr. Steve Peters, and it's essentially understanding your brain. Basically, you've got two sides of your brain. You've got that chimp side that's like the ego, that fucking like cheeky chimp that wants to do this, it wants to binge, it wants to cheat, it wants to fucking do that. And you've got the rational side of your brain that's like the computer, the educated man. And it's a constant battle between the two. And it's just understand that. It's a really good book. So yeah, The Chimp Paradox. Reading a book at the moment called How to Do the Work. And it's all about understanding trauma and how trauma is, you know, it's not something that's like really obvious. Like it's not just PTSD or something that's an obvious traumatic event. It's something that you just haven't dealt with in your life. And understanding that when you unlock the trauma and you deal with it, you basically unlock your life. Like, you know, if you imagine, right, as you were saying about the alcohol before, you imagine you get your ears like singed, right? And then you've got all the wax out, whatever, and then you can hear, like, you think, what the fuck? I've been missing out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Because you don't know you can't hear until you can hear properly.
No, that's it. Most people don't know they need help.
Exactly. So I think that's what it is with getting rid of the traumas. You don't realise that you've maybe been living your life like with that fucking brain fog or that little grogginess. And then when you've dealt with that, you just feel fucking liberated. And it's like, I just think I'm really sort of strongly an advocate of understanding traumas because it's a good thing.
And obviously you've been there and done it, mate. It's simple as that. And if you can help pass that on and help somebody else, you know, absolutely amazing. Like, and that, like I said, this is the whole reason behind this podcast. You know, is hopefully somebody picks this up and, you know, might change the life. Maybe not even off us, just by reading. Just again, what was that book?
You know, so the two books I've mentioned so far are The Chimp Paradox and How to Do the Work. The third one is the fucking absolute daddy that I'd read fucking every day, and I think I'll continue to do for the rest of my life. It's The Daily Stoic. Yeah. So essentially, it's just reading that one page a day that just helps you change your perspective. You know, so you'll just kind of like say, you know, the challenges that we face in life, like they become the way. So the obstacle's the way. So it's
very knowledgeable,
isn't it? You know,
brilliant.
And all it takes is reading a page of that, and you think, wow, fucking yeah, like that's how it is. I'll fucking take that into my day to day. You know, we're back on.
We're on. All
right, sweet. So yeah, just as you say, the books that you read, the podcasts you listen to, they become ultimately who you are, don't they? And how you fucking go through life, man.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about win the morning, win the day?
Aye, let's give that some praise. So our mate John O, he basically used to be in the Navy, and the guy who started it was a PT in the Navy, and obviously John O and him are mates and stuff. Win the morning, win the day is based on the concept that if you win the morning, you win the day. If you do the first difficult task in the day, in the morning, you've kind of set that precedent of, you know, I can deal with things, I can deal with something that's like adversity. And it's all about creating that blueprint in your mind of fucking, I've conquered something. So you've got that rest of that meaning for the rest of the day. Yeah. So essentially what it is, community spirit. We meet down at the fucking harbour at 6 o'clock in the morning, have a bit of a chat, have a bit of a walk, jump in the sea, and fucking just feel really invigorated. And the knock-on effect of that is you just feel buzzing all day. You know, so we've obviously got a group, there's a few of us go, and it's just creating that kind of movement, isn't it, of getting people down and fucking it. Yeah.
So it's like, well, that's how we've ended up, you know, like getting back in touch and talking to each other, because I'd seen your videos of you going down, and I sent you a message saying, "Oh, what's the crack there?" Like, you know, I wouldn't mind coming down. And then obviously from there we've been talking a lot more, and then the voice notes started. 10-minute voice notes between each other. Honestly, we could make a feature length film or something out of all our voice notes we've been sending each other.
Oh no, it's nothing. It's as soon as I get a voice note off you, mate, I fucking, you know, my ears perk up. I'm like, oh yes, I want to fucking, you know, it's just that difference, isn't it? And then suddenly, after I've listened to that voice note, it's like we were saying, one of them, like every contact leaves a trace. Like suddenly, I go into my next fucking phone call at work, like fucking full of beans, and like, you know, everything makes a difference, mate. And you know, it does.
Class. And that's it. And that's it about, we're going to talk about conversation and how talking, you know, is people don't do it enough, and it's and be like I think you've touched on it about being present when you're having these conversations and actually listening and taking in, being part, not just being there and like actually listening. Is engaging as well with you.
That's what it is. I think we live in, unfortunately, we live in a time now where everything is sort of like transactional. It's almost like, what can I get out of this? Like, what am I getting out of this? What are you going to give me? But I think if you go into things thinking, what can I contribute instead of what can I gain? Like, it just immediately changes the whole exchange. Wrong word to use that, but it kind of, it just makes everything about a selfless act rather than like an ego. Do you know what I mean? And I think, as you say, conversation should be honest. It should be present. It should be vulnerable. Like, I shouldn't be going into a conversation with somebody feeling like I've got to wear a mask or feeling like I've got to behave a certain way.
I was literally just about to say there, like, is speak up. Who cares if your opinion's different, controversial? That makes the conversation better. You've got more to talk about, and it's like, oh, but why do you think that? Not just like all nodding dogs, like, oh yeah.
Like, yeah. But I think you should be able to, like, just own your awkwardness there. Like, if you say something that's fucking awkward, like, all right, I felt awkward. No, like, move on. Like, I just think we should be just okay to be fucking awkward now and again. Yeah. Instead of like fucking everything being rigid and like, oh, should I say this and should I say that? Like, doesn't matter. Like, like I just
moving on to our story, like, and limitations, power of thought, self-belief. What's your take on that, mate? I know you've got a bit to say on that, actually. Or your opinion on it.
Yeah, so I think, you are the story you tell yourself at the end of the day. And I think when you think of it from a subconscious level, we could use the cold water to start with. So, for example, right, we've all got this inner voice, this inner bitch that wants to take the easy approach. So I'll get up in the morning and I've immediately got that voice saying, oh, don't get a fucking cold shower today. Justifying it, oh, you deserve a break. Oh, you deserve a rest. You've been out for a walk yesterday. Go on, have an extra half an hour. So that's my inner bitch, right? So if every time I give in to that, right, and I let him win, I'm setting a precedent that I'm a type of person that can just fucking give in. So if you do that enough times, suddenly it's like your self-esteem is based on the reputation that you hold with yourself. You always know, right? So every time that I win that battle and I get up and I take my cold shower, you're setting a precedent of, I'm the type of person that can get up and face things. And the reason that's so important, like, it's such a simple thing. The reason it's so important is because when life does fucking knock you down the fucking chops, you think to yourself,
oh,
you will. You think, hold on a minute, I'm made of fucking some tougher things here. I can handle it. And you're just creating that kind of self-esteem. And I think when you're trying to create your own purpose and story, like, you literally are, what you act out, what you are on a daily basis, and the story you tell yourself. And I know you've done that David Goggins challenge, which is fucking powerful. And he quite alludes to, so well done, mate. And I'm interested to see, like, talk about your fucking thoughts that were going around your head and stuff in that. And I was mentioning about, like, how we create our own story and, our thoughts and that. And he often refers to that mental cookie jar where you kind of like remember past victories or past things that you've done well, to get you through tough things. So, for example, you're dealing with a lot of shit, and then you think, well, no, hold on a minute, I've fucking done this in the past. Like, I've done, I've proved that I'm worth some fucking salt. So you refer back to that to give you that thing. So I'm interested, when you've done the Goggins challenge, what fucking thoughts were going around your head, and how did you get over it?
Right. Well, there's a couple of, honestly, I don't know if you see me smile there where you said about when you're facing adversities and you think of times where you've triumphed and that to get you through it. I've only just told somebody else about this. Lou Dixon, he'll be watching this and listening to this, actually. He's massive into uppies and downies there. And for you guys who don't know, obviously, I got 3 uppies and downies ball, first time ever in history, back in 2018. But when I get a cold shower on my tough days when I'm struggling, I think to myself, I'm in that river with that ball and he took my top. And that is literally what I think. I like, if I'm walking into the sea, I'm like, the ball's in there. It's yours if you go and get it. Like,
and that just shows the fucking power of thought, eh?
Yeah,
that just
definitely.
Shows the power of fucking belief, mate.
But yeah, the David Goggins challenge. So obviously the first few, were all right. And the first 4, run 5 was the tough one, which was my I was like, oh, that felt a bit hard. So that would have been, I think that was maybe 8 o'clock in the evening. I can't remember what time it started, But anyway, that was the tough one. And then after that, prior to doing the David Goggins challenge, I'd ran a marathon, and
I remember it. I remember you doing it.
I'd done that on 3 weeks training, 3 weeks and 3 days training, and that some folk would be like, fuck, I've no idea. I swear to God, I'd done it on 3 weeks, 3 days training. Before that, the last time I'd ran was like last year sometime. Like I say, I know I'm not overweight or anything like that, and obviously I do stuff in the gym, but running wise, I hadn't done much. And one of a quote that I've seen or put together was, if you want to inspire people, you've got to get out there and do some inspiring shit. And that is, honestly, I was just reciting that in my head. Just keep going, Nate, keep going. You've got this. If you do this, you're going to help others. And although it's like kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not selfless, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Where you do.
It's like egotistical, no? Like maybe
it maybe seemed a bit egotistical doing it, but at the same time, I wanted to prove to myself as well, because that was the start of me with no alcohol. So I wanted something in front of us, something big, because honestly, the early days of doing the no alcohol, it was literally day 1, tick.
Yeah.
Day 2, tick. And it was like proper. Now I don't really know what number I'm on. I've got to look, but I just tick it every day. It doesn't fit, my next milestone will probably be either 150 or 200 days. Or in fact, it'll be half of 356. To be honest, that'll be halfway 6 months of a year. And I've lost where I was going there. But yeah, so it's not. I wasn't doing it egotistically. It was like more so. If I do this, I can help. I can help others as well, and feeding off that buzz of knowing that other people will look up to that and maybe be inspired and get them to start taking action.
Yeah, exactly. And I think summarising what you've said there about you've obviously got that sort of that intrinsic motivating factor that's deep to you to help others, to care about others, but it's okay to have a hybrid of the two, to have a little bit of the external thing of thinking, the ego kicking in, because that is ultimately what can get you through the moments. Even though you've got that deep-rooted sort of I'm doing it for the care of others, and the intrinsic, you still need a little bit of extrinsic. Of course you do. It's okay. It's fine.
And again, this is someone else I've just shared with Louis Dixon before he ran, or whilst he was running his David Goggins challenge himself. I asked him if he's got any songs he listens to, to get him through, and it said his song. And my song is, and it's because I've got a very wide range of tastes and genres, but it's a classical song, and you'll know the song from the YouTube where Lado takes a picture every day of himself, and the song's called "Every Day" by Carly Commando or Carly, something like that, and it's just a classical piano music, but it's that showing up he took a picture every day of himself for 10 years, whatever, or however long it was. And that was it. That was the first song I put on when I was doing the run. And it was just like, right, show up, let's get it done.
That's what it is, mate. It is what, just as you say, showing up every day. There's a sports team that's got a big quote in their changing rooms. And it's basically, you tap into the rock 100 times, and it's like them 100 times appear as though they're wasted, but it's the 101th time it breaks the rock.
Yeah.
It's not the 101th time that's broke the rock, it's everything before it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
definitely.
It is just showing up. It's the little things, isn't it? And yeah, man.
It's like when my last can up on a jar, and she'll be trying, and she'll give me it, and I'll get it off for her. And I'm like, that was all you losing it for us. So we've gone with power of thought. What about self-belief? What's your take on self-belief?
Well, similar to what we just touched on, like setting precedents, isn't it? Doing things that your future self will thank you for, doing things that so adversity, right? I think that we live in an age now where comfort is available on tap. If you want a fucking pizza, you just type in a fucking on your phone, it's landing on your doorstep. If you want a fucking match with a love interest, you fucking swipe on the internet. Everything's available to us, and that's fine. And on the surface, comfort looks good because comfort's safe and comfort's nice. Yeah. But I think that if you spend enough time being comfortable, you'll feel just low and like a lack of meaning, a lack of purpose, because I think the challenges and adversities are what give us that fucking sense of satisfaction. And yet fucking comforts and thrills and pleasures, they might give you that little glimmer of happiness, a little glimmer of pleasure, but overcoming adversities, overcoming challenges, and as you say, jumping in the sea at 6 a.m, that's what gives you that deep-rooted fulfillment that gives you fucking life satisfaction.
And that's it. I've got a little analogy here, and I don't know if I've actually just come up with it myself there, but think of it like starting a fire with a twig, with a stick like that. You're rubbing it in your hands, and you're creating that friction, and then by doing that and keep going, you've got that spark, you've got that fire, and you've got that discomfort on your hands, rubbing, but then you keep going, and then next thing you know, you've got this blazing fire, and that's what you've got deep inside you when it comes to setting yourself challenges, pushing yourself into the growth zone, out the stagnant zone. I don't call it. I do call it comfort zone because most people can relate to it, but I prefer to call it the stagnant zone because
that makes sense.
Stagnant is unpleasant. Comfort is pleasurable, like you said. It's nice. It's warm. It's on the sofa watching Netflix, not doing what you should be doing. If you're wanting to achieve.
I think.
So go on, bud.
No, sorry, go on, I interrupted you.
That is why I like to call it the stagnant zone. So it's a bit unpleasant, really. And it's like, I'm in the stagnant zone. Yeah, I need to get out of there now.
Yeah. No, that makes sense because then you're kind of reframing it, aren't you? Because comfort is a word where people derive pleasure from it. So no, that's a good one. One thing that I kind of use in this is anything that's easy in the moment comes further downstream with difficulties. So think of the pleasure that's the quick hit, the pizza in the moment, the sugary snack. Yeah, it's thrill in the moment, but further downstream, it's going to come with hardship. Anything that's hardship in the moment, like the cold shower, the fucking putting your body under stress in the gym, in the workouts, comes with fucking the joy later on. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
No, I totally agree. And it's that thing, like, it's dead easy to fuck the gym off or to, like you say, order a pizza. And it's creating that reason and that purpose, not to. So imagine like a weighing scales. I know a few guys have maybe already seen me do this, but so you've got your reasons for wanting to do it, and then you've got your reasons like wanting to have a takeaway. You need to then outweigh that and go, right, well, if I don't get a takeaway, I'm going to be my future self's going to thank us, and you're just going to keep adding and adding until you've outweighed that other reason, and that is how you get over like stop and drink. No, I'm not saying it's the sole thing. Obviously, people who are maybe like alcoholics or proper suffer with drugs and stuff like that, it's not maybe that simple. But for a lot of us who are just the kind of ones who are coasting, it is just creating that reason, that purpose to outweigh the other thing that you want to get a handle on.
Yeah, you've got to want it, haven't you? You can talk about this as much as you want, but you can only take somebody else to the water. You can't make them drink it. And it's almost like they've got to have that desire. So what they're in, the predicament they're in at the moment, the sadness they're in at the moment, the lack of connection, whatever they're in, there's got to be so burning to make them want to change. So yeah.
Gratitude, Slacky. What have you got to tell me about gratitude and the audience?
Gratitude is a fucking big one, man. Absolutely. I think with gratitude, it's one of them ones where you talk about gratitude and everyone rolls their eyes, don't they? Oh, fucking hell. List 3 things I'm grateful for. All right, then. Move on. But I think gratitude, like when you think of the law of attraction, right? The law of attraction is this, right? So you can have a thought of something that you're grateful for, right? And the thought is the intention, right? but it's the emotion that actually is the magnet. So it's the emotion itself that you need. So I could list 3 things I'm grateful for now and think, oh, I've done my gratitude for today. No, it's not like that. You need to go through what you're grateful for and feel it. Feel grateful. So I've got a roof over my head. I've got running water. What a fucking privilege it is. Like, what a privilege it is to have a job that I can go to. You know what I mean? Feel it. Spend time on it and think, fucking yeah. And then what you're doing is when you're feeling grateful, you literally are changing your state. And that's what it comes down to, changing your state. Because when you're in a state of gratitude, you're operating on a different frequency. You can't be sad or depressed when you're grateful. You just can't. And I think another thing that I'll kind of branch off with gratitude is everyone always associates gratitude with being grateful for fucking good things. The fucking roof over your head, the fucking running water, the fucking happy family, whatever. Grateful for that. Be grateful for fucking everything. Because if you can be grateful for everything, I'm grateful, right, that I had fucking anxiety and mental health problems and fucking really low state. I'm grateful for that, right? Because I've fucking got to a much better way of living now. Like, you know, and
without that, right? If you never suffered that, where would you be? What would you be doing now? Like, obviously that's unknown, it's hypothetical. But without that, like you say, I've said about without the challenge with drinking drugs with me, I wouldn't be doing state of mind now. You know, how far would the gym go, or will it go without that change and challenge?
Yeah. It's like that. There's a Navy SEAL, I think he's a Navy SEAL or an Army SEAL. He's Jocko Willink, they call him. I don't know if you've come across him, but he talks about like how everything in your life you should be grateful for. But it takes it that it's a little bit fucking like hardcore, this. So I wouldn't advise everyone to do it. But it's an interesting thing just to do for a joke, right? Because if you do it for a joke, like you can kind of do it in a tongue-in-cheek way, right? So think of it this way: you're driving to work, you drive over a pothole and you burst your tire, right? Without even thinking, just say good, fucking good, right? Because when you're doing it, when you say good, you're kind of overriding that initial like, fuck's sake, what have I fucking got here? So if you just say good, you're installing that habit of fucking good. Do you know what I mean? And I know you're half joking when you say it, you're tongue in cheek because you're not fucking happy when you bust your tire, but you're just good because it's a chance to show patience. It's a chance to fucking learn a new skill. Like, you can do that in every single thing that happens. Like, all of the run-of-the-mill things that fucking happens. Good. Like,
that's it. Hitting a traffic light, hitting red lights, I always go, yes, I want to turn this song up. I can listen to it longer now.
Honestly, I know it is daft. It is daft, like, and I know a lot of people will be looking at this thinking, oh, it's all right for them, motivational bastards. But, like, me and you, like, we're not like this all the time. Like, fucking hell, I have bad days. I have bad
Of course we do.
Yeah, like it's all about the balance, and it's just about self-regulating. That's all it is. It's having techniques to self-regulate.
That's it. And that's what it's about. We're not perfect. No, nobody's perfect. It's like what you were saying. It's about understanding that and being able to manage yourself and regulate yourself, and even just catching yourself when you're ever having a negative thought, or being able to rein it back in as well. So you maybe have exploded and lost your head, but that doesn't mean that's going to spoil your day. You know, you can then at least bring it back in. You can go and apologize, you know, put things right, rather than just being in yan and then not speaking to someone. Do you know what I mean? It's just being
it's
very
like
self-aware.
One thing that's always kind of grated on me is this, right? You know, how many people do you know who are like in relationships, or, you know, even your mother and father, and they automatically like justify like shitty behavior, right? So how many people do you know who say this? Oh, that's just the way he is. It's just the way he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and to me, right, I've seen it in the working environment whereby somebody will get up late, right? They're rushing out of the door, they're fucking spilling coffee down themselves, they get stuck behind a tractor, they get into work, like, they'll have a fucking argument with the first customer they speak to, they'll have a fucking, and then by the time dinner time comes, they're like, oh, I've had the day from hell, I'm so unlucky. No, you've done something wrong at the start of your day that's made you have that fucking shitty day.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's all it's about, like having that control, like realizing that we're in an age now where we're mature people, we're adults, we're responsible for our fucking moods. Do you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't just, you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm having a bad mood. You know what I mean? We've got the ability to self-regulate that now. Do you know what I mean?
It's you know, it's like people who let the weather dictate the mood. I know it can be a factor at times, especially maybe if you've got stuff going on like at home or that. But really, it's up to you. It is up to you. How you want to feel. When people say to me, "What a shit day," I always go, "Nice weather for ducks, though." Ducks are loving it.
There's always the new spin you can put on it, like perspective. At the end of the day, it's not fucking. I don't think there's out wrong with that as well. There's not wrong with being positive all the time, because at the end of the day, like, you are just your frequency you put out there, and suddenly you're having a crack with somebody else has a better conversation. Like, every contact leaves a trace, as you said. It does.
Yeah, 100%. And off that, then, what quotes? Well, I know you've got a list full of quotes and ways to live by, but give us a few of your either favorite quotes to live by. And this is all you, mate. I'm going to let you take the lead here and share your wisdom.
Well, the one I said at the start was what my mate told us, and that was always stuck with us. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to a level of your systems. It's a good one, just for creating that understanding of why it's important to have habits. Another one about adversity, which was a Bruce Lee quote, which I love. Don't grant me an easy life, grant me the strength to endure a difficult one, which basically means, like you started alluding to, like, the price of admission to a purposeful life is overcoming discomforts. And, like, fucking, I love it. You what, mate?
He's showing up.
Showing up, another one which we haven't maybe touched on this yet, but expect nothing, appreciate everything. I think if you expect from others, it has the habit of setting you up for disappointment. So if you go into everything, just, don't expect anything. Just go into things, flow through it, and just appreciate everything. Whatever comes your way, the good, the bad, like, it's the contrast, isn't it? It's the balance. Like, you appreciate the fucking sunny days 10 times more after it's just rained for 3 days. Like, it's the fucking similar with life, isn't it?
That's it. On that, expect nothing, appreciate everything. Expectations is a massive thing. When you have expectations of others, you are setting yourself up for the fall. You're setting yourself up, and you can't expect you from others, because we're all different and we're all doing our own thing.
Yeah,
it is crazy. Like, and when you understand that, you then won't be let down or feel disappointed, feel angry or upset when something doesn't go your way, or when somebody doesn't agree or gets the job done that you've asked them to do, because you would have got it done.
Yeah, and another thing as well is, like, I think I've always felt in the past whereby if somebody doesn't understand something, people only understand things at their level of perspective. So people maybe aren't ready for some of the things we've talked about, and that's fine as well. We're all at different stages of the journey. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's just about accepting that and not expecting, like, I remember there used to be, like, fucking, if a song would play on the radio, right, and I used to love the song so much, I'd be like, listen to this, it's fucking awesome. And they'd be like, no, I don't really like it. But that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah. People have different wants and needs, and
that's it, man.
But I think, alluding to conversation and relationships and that, and I think the reason that, like, I was probably like that is because connection is, like, the biggest fucking thing in life. And we're connecting with others when you fucking having that community and you're bouncing off people and you fucking, they say, right, I've heard this mentioned somewhere before, you should never go scuba diving on your own, because when you go scuba diving, you see that many fucking fascinating things that the first thing you want to do is look at the person you're with and go, oh, fucking look at that. Like, because we just want to fucking share things with people.
Class. I like that, mate. I love that, in fact. I tell you what we haven't touched on, the poetry, mate.
Oh, yeah. Fucking hell. I always started this off, the fucking bodybuilding the poet. We haven't fucking even got there.
So how did you get into poetry, man?
Oh, mate. So, fucking hell, as you know, like, started off fucking doing bodybuilding and stuff when I was younger. I wouldn't even call it bodybuilding, because bodybuilding's like, people think of, like, fucking big bloated fucking men standing on a door. But, I was into physique and stuff and having a good body and that. And then that was who I was. It was just all about the physique. I lived in the gym. And then you kind of realize that there's more to life. Like, you don't want to be a fucking slave to the gym. You want to find a balance. And I don't want to just have a good body to look good to impress a woman, which is what I fucking went to the gym for in the first place as a young fucking 18-year-old. So once you realize that, you start to, like, broaden your horizons and get into other things. And I think with poetry, what it allows is it allows that like kind of like inner creative expression to come out. And I think we've all got like a creative side as humans, but we write it off. We say, oh, I'm just not creative. I've never been creative. I'm more hands-on me. But I think when we're in that kind of relaxed state, like, you know, you can try it yourself and you just get creative and it comes out and it just flows. And, you know, I just started writing when I was reading my books and reading my podcasts and podcasts or whatever. I started thinking, well, I've got this knowledge now that I've picked up and it's helped me with my mental health and stuff. It's almost selfish to keep it inside. You know what I mean? It's almost selfish.
100%.
So I started writing stuff down, and then before I knew it, like I was making stuff rhyme. Yeah, yeah. And it was literally just that. And I started writing poems in lockdown, the very first lockdown, and I seen it was an advert in the Times and Star, and it was like, write a poem for your experience of lockdown. So I wrote a poem, and I just started fucking writing them from there, basically.
Class, mate. What's your Instagram, mate? Let everyone, because you post daily. You put your quote.
It's just DJ Slacky 85. That's all it is. So
give him a follow, mate. Give him a follow. There's plenty of wisdom every day on there. Some great stuff, like some really good stuff.
Cheers, awesome, man. Appreciate it. And likewise with you, mate. I'm fucking, you know, as soon as you post a video on your morning walks, I'm like fucking listening, like, so I love you there.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it too. Have you got anything else to add, mate, or anything else you want to cover?
I think we've absolutely fucking flogged the horse dry, mate, to be fair. Like,
well, if anyone wants to hear us talk again and pour out some wisdom and share our knowledge that we've gained, or
well, it's as you say, mate. We could have went all over the place. We've had various voice notes. We've talked about all sorts. You know, there's lots of subjects that we could cover, have a crack about, and, you know, just fucking open the table to others to get involved as well. Like, because, you know, there's one thing as well that I'm quite passionate about is having the kind of openness to like change your beliefs. Do you know what I mean? And don't become too fixed with them, because I think I'm open to like other people's opinions and trying other things. And I think a lot of people get an identity of like, oh, I'm a fucking vegan, or I'm a fucking CrossFitter, or I'm this. And as soon as somebody challenges it, they take offense and they're like, you know, that's going against everything I believe. But, you know, there's things that I used to do fucking 3 months ago that I don't believe in anymore. And like, I'm sure there will be in 3 months' time, and that's fine. It's all right.
Life is a forever changing process. You know, nothing stays the same. Nothing's guaranteed. Yeah,
exactly. And the thing is, a lot of people think if you go back to something that you didn't, you know, you've maybe done in the past, that you're going backwards and that's a negative thing. But you're not. You're spiraling and you're going back to it through new eyes. So I might do something again that I've got rid of and think, no, I'm seeing it from a new perspective now. So, yeah.
And that's it. It's just understanding that we know nothing, basically.
We do. We fucking know now. But that's okay as well, mate. It's all right. Yeah. You know, we're just making our best guesses, fumbling through life, having a conversation with folk, connecting and feeling good on the way, hopefully.
And that's it. And help others achieve theirs, you know. Saying about you like sharing the knowledge, you like sharing your wisdom and knowledge, your poems and that. And I think that is a massive thing. You know, knowledge is only a power when applied, but also when shared. You know, that, you know, if you tell someone how to do something or help show them the way, who are they going to help? It's like every contact leaves a trace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like anytime you can help someone, I mean, that doesn't mean you've got to go and break your back for every little thing. But anytime you can help someone, do it.
Yeah, of course. Like if you help somebody and you're kind to somebody and you see it's made a difference, suddenly you think, oh, you know, I can make a difference to somebody's life. I matter. You know, because don't get us wrong. When people message me and they say, oh, I enjoyed that poem. Like, yeah, it's nice that I've helped them, but I feel a sense of, oh, I matter, you know, I am important.
Yeah.
And it gives you that kind of like, oh, you know, I'm making some form of difference, even if it's just a one person, you know.
And that's it, mate. It is some powerful stuff. Awesome. Well, Slacky, really appreciate you coming on, and it has been an absolute blast.
Loved it, mate. It's been good having a crack, man.
So, like I say, guys, if you want to hear more, let us know, and we'll probably, hopefully, get another one to you. So until next time. So thanks again, Slacky. We'll see you again.